Hey there, it's Dr. Diaz. This video is to cover post-op instructions for your dog or your cat's spay. Now, if your pet was spayed today, then be aware there will be an incision on the belly, so you will see potentially some stitches in the area. You might see some bruising, you might see some puckering. That is all quite normal. The stitches that we use do dissolve over time, so they will dissolve over the next few weeks. Sometimes it can take a month or so. So your pet does not need to come back for any stitch removal, but please keep an eye on the area. If you see any bleeding or discharge, any excessive inflammation, definitely reach out, let us know. With that, your pet will go home with a cone. The cone is meant to keep your pet from licking or chewing at the incision site. So a very common complication is dehiscence or breaking apart of the stitches, as well as infection. If your pet is allowed to lick, groom, or chew at the incision, many times they do want to do this. It can become a little bit itchy, so definitely keep the cone on, and that should be for a minimum of 7 days, but it can take anywhere from 10 to 14 days for the incision to fully heal. To help keep them from messing with the incision, to help with tolerance of the cone, and to help them kind of take it easy while they are recovering, I do recommend some post-op sedatives. For dogs, they typically go home with some trazodone, and this can be administered every 12 hours. There's a range of the dosing that can be used, so you can start with the lower dose, and if this is not enough, then you can increase the dose, and all that information is on the label. As I said, they really should be resting during this period, so I don't encourage them to play, run, jump, zoomies, or anything like that while everything is healing, because again, that increases the risk for complications. For dogs, they can go outside to use the bathroom, and they should be on their leash, even if there is, even if you do have a yard that you let them out in, and that's because they can easily kind of take off running, jumping if they see something that calls their attention. But otherwise, they really should be just taking it easy for at least a week or so. Other medications that we send home are to help reduce pain and inflammation after the procedure. So for dogs, I typically send home either meloxicam or carprofen. These are NSAIDs, and they will help reduce pain and inflammation. For cats, they get meloxicam. Sometimes we send gabapentin home as well, and this will also help reduce a little bit of discomfort. Cats will get a medication called Zorbium. This is a long-lasting partial opioid that is applied on the skin. So we apply it here in the hospital. You don't have to apply it at home or worry about it at home, but just be aware that for 4 days after her spay, your cat will have really good pain control. She'll be very, very comfortable. Sometimes this medication can make them act a little funny. They might be a little bit skittish, hiding. Sometimes their pupils are very dilated. Truly, sometimes there's not much of a side effect at all, but be aware that if you do see these changes, it can be pretty normal. It will wear off after about 4 days, but at least during that time she should be very comfortable while she recovers. If you opted for a microchip, that was placed during anesthesia, and so we will send home that information, that number, and that should all be registered to you. Things to worry about is if you see some active bleeding from the incision site, if you see discharge or notice any abnormal odors, if the incision site happens to open up and you're seeing loose stitches or tissue that is opened up, definitely call us right away. We can get your pet back in and take a look, have that all repaired if necessary. But again, these complications are very rare and typically don't happen if your pet is adequately rested. If you have any questions at all, definitely let us know, but otherwise they recover fairly quickly. One last thing to note is to avoid giving a bath for at least 14 days after surgery. But yeah, if you have questions, definitely call us, let us know, and we can be in touch. Bye.